Hey guys, this is AJ and thank you for tuning in to my journey as a preemie mom part 2. Now on part 1, I just basically share with you as far as why I have been gone, why I have not been as active on this channel, on Facebook, pretty much anywhere. I've been going through a lot. And for those that this may be your very first time seeing me or this video, my channel, or however you actually are seeing this, I'm sharing my journey with you in regards to my life, my feelings as a preemie mom. Well, I did a video probably about 4 months ago where I'm talking about as far as when my water first broke, and I was only 24 weeks. Now, for those who are familiar with weeks in pregnancy, you already know that can be very, very terrifying. But for those who may not, that is extremely, extremely, extremely early. I was only 6 months pregnant when my water broke. I was immediately rushed to the hospital. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. It was Christmas Day, and I woke up and my water broke. And I encourage you to go to my video that I actually did on that in December, because whoa, you can actually see the looks in my face, in my eyes, and everything. But this is where my actual journey started. So as I was mentioning in that particular video, I had a wonderful staff, and they were very, very informative. Immediately I was categorized as high risk. Now, prior to this day, I had a perfectly normal, healthy pregnancy, was not categorized as high risk. But when my water broke, you're considered high risk. You're being monitored around the clock. You are on strict bed rest. You cannot leave until you deliver this baby. Well, that was a little scary. However, the NICU team, and for those who may not know what that is the neonatal intensive care unit for babies. And because I was extremely, extremely early, they actually came in, their staff around the clock was checking on me, measuring things, measuring the amniotic fluid, and basically informed me and actually was showing me if I was to deliver from that day at any point, what I could be potentially facing, how big my baby can be. They showed me a 1 pound baby, they showed me a 2 pound baby, and the baby was so small, and I was just like, oh my goodness. But I have a strong faith. I have a very, very strong faith in Jesus Christ, and so does my husband, and so does my family. We have a very, very praying family. And yes, it was very terrifying. However, the staff there reassured me as far as at this point there was nothing else that I can do. I had did everything that I was supposed to do. At this point, I was just waiting on time. I was waiting on time, and bottom line is my son was going to do whatever he wanted to do, aka Junior. Well, December 31st came, and those know that my husband's birthday was December 30th. Our 3rd year wedding anniversary was January 2nd. My son decided to come to this world on December 31st at 5:14 a.m. It was 5:14 and 5:15 a.m. I'm trying to remember. I have so many different dates and times in my mind. It actually, the reason why I say between 5:14 and 5:15, because my husband had one time on his watch, but the doctor had a different time, so we go at both times. Anyways, my son, I started having contractions, but I always had back pain whenever I had like my menstrual cycle. So I was already pretty much used to it and adapted to the actual pain in my lower back. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, the nurse came in. She said, "Alicia, are you having any discomfort?" And I was like, nothing any different from when I first came in. My son was already sitting low. My son was already head down, face down, ready to come out. And I guess pretty much he let his daddy have his day, and he was like, look, 2013, we only have less than 24 hours left. I need to see what's going on with 2013. So the lady came in there, she checked me, and Lord and behold, my son was already right there. Next thing I know, lights was on, people was rushing in there, the whole NICU team, everybody was in there, and my husband was like, are you ready? And I said, what in the world is going on? I mean, I was prepared for this moment, but it just happened so fast because it was like, okay, I thought I was going to be here for another 8 to 9 more weeks. Well, my doctor came in there and he said, Alicia, are you ready to push? I said, push? Absolutely not. I'm not pushing this baby out. And he was like, yes, you are. I was like, no, I'm not. I said, because I was told, because he's so tiny and we don't want to mess up anything or hurt anything by pushing him out, because everything was still forming, including his skull of his brain, that we better to do a cesarean, or some people know as a C-section. Well, so I was absolutely like, absolutely not. I'm not pushing him out. I'm not hurting him. I do not want to hurt my baby. Well, within 30 seconds, it was confirmed that my son was fine. They had did another scan on him. They looked at it from earlier that day. Whoa, technology is so amazing. Anyways, back to the point. So I was still scared. I looked to the left. I looked at my husband, and my husband, his exact words were, look, you have been a soldier for how many years of the United States military? Okay, now it's time to be a soldier for Junior. So put your game face on and let's push this baby out. And when my husband said that, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. My husband has always been my strength, so he gave me that little boost of energy. I looked at the doctor. I said, okay, let's go. And within 3 pushes, my son was out. Now, here was the moment of, I don't want to say fear, but this was the moment that I actually was just like, oh my goodness, because of his prematurity. I was afraid of him breathing. I was afraid of his neurological standpoint as far as his whole mental activity and everything. But guess what? My son came out with his eyes wide open. He had a little faint little cry, and they actually had to intubate him to get surfactant down. And what surfactant is, that actually helps stimulate the heart. They took a lot of measurements because he was premature to make sure they helped kickstart him off on the right path. But Lord and behold, within the first 12 hours of my son's life, he took a breath, and they took that thing out, and my son was breathing on his own from that moment. And but here's the thing, I did it completely natural, and it still hurt. My son was 1 pound 9 ounces. He was 13 and 3/4 inches long, only at 24 weeks. Can you believe it? Can you imagine if he would have stayed me for another 16 weeks? Anyways, so Lord and behold, I pushed my son out. But guess what? I had to get rushed to the emergency surgery, because guess what? The afterbirth would not come out. It didn't want to come out. It was like, look, I'm supposed to be here for another 16 weeks. I am going to stay here. So I got rushed to emergency surgery. So when I got back, and after I kind of came back from being sedated and everything, I saw my son, and that was seeing him and seeing how little he was. And oh man, my son, he was so strong at that very moment. And I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter for love. I'm a fighter for family. My husband is the same way. And I saw the best of my husband and I in him at that very moment. Now, I loved my son from the moment that I knew that I conceived him. I was so in love with him. I talked to him day in and day out, and so did his father. But just something about seeing him, placing my eyes on him, even though it wasn't the traditional way, I had to see my son through this glass container, what we also know as an incubator, and I was only able to touch him through a sterile environment, through a glass. I was in love, and I knew my son knew my presence from the very first moment he heard my voice, because he looked at me. He looked at me, and I can just tell. I can just tell. I can just feel it. And his eyes pierced my heart, because his eyes just showed, oh, that was one of the best non-verbal expressions of love I have ever received. So yes, they say you can't fall in love at first sight. Well, I did with my son. But I'm going to leave it there today. And I thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize for coming back, 2 to 3 weeks later. But just be patient with me, guys. This has been a struggle for me. And I just appreciate all of you that are following me, and for those who have decided to listen to my story today as well. I'm going to end it with that. This is AJ, and again, this is my journey as a preemie mom, part 2. Good night.